Howdy, and welcome to Risky Standard, an actual play podcast featuring a rowdy group of best friends playing tabletop role-playing games together. I am your host and GM, Mitch Broesder. You can find me on Twitter over at Magnesium B. You can find the show over on Twitter at Standard Risky. You can also find us over on the show's Discord, where we're always posting, character sheets, images of little frog statues, things like that. Well, with me today, I've got Peter Loftus.
What's up, risk takers? I'm Pete. I have a fully powered up beverage array in front of me. I am ready to do some soul searching.
Malcolm Hall.
Hey, what's up, risk takers? I am also ready. I have my fidget spinner. I've got my phone to the right of me playing Subway Surfer. I am ready to game.
And Timothy Mans.
Hi, guys. Good to be here. Glad you could join us once more. You can't see it, but I probably will be chewing a little toothpick for a little, character flair.
And it makes you look so cool, right? I can just see it on you right now. You look like a different guy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, do you own a classic car now?
No.
Yeah, you said that really cool, though.
Today we are continuing our campaign of Beam Saber by Austin Ramsey. As always, you can find Beam Saber over on Austin's itch.io page. There's a link to that in the show notes, along with a link to our Discord, and a link to the recently published soundtrack, which our good friend here, Tim, made and released over on his Bandcamp. There's, like I said, a link to that in the show notes, axehoarder2.bandcamp.com, I think.
Yep. Didn't know the password to the original. No one could remember.
Not to be confused with San Diego hardcore band I just recently found out about, Axe Collector.
False.
If you are an axe collector, turn it off right now. This is not for you.
This is our first podcast rival. I guess they're not podcast, but our first
declared rival, which is concerning because they can make a move at any time.
So today we are coming back after the explosive end of our last mission, one which saw the squad succeed in their train heist, stopping the Night Flyer Syndicate from smuggling in illicit Concordat goods. A mission that, for a large portion of it, went off without a hitch, until from within the train emerged Rhodes's Concordat rival, the Looking Glass Knight, Hyacinth Corrin, who emerged to try and stop the squad unsuccessfully. But that mission did end with Rhodes doing an incredible Hulk and heading off into the sunset, leaving behind Desmond and Carta to help clean up and snag the loot with the help of the Ring Squad, the Threaded Needle. And so today we're going to be kind of coming back in for downtime, the rest and recuperation period after a mission, where the squad gets to pursue their own interests and kind of follow up on the aftermath of the most recent mission. Yeah, so unless there are any questions, I guess we kind of...
Even if this gets cut, I have it on my sheet that I only have one stress. That seems wrong, but...
you were in the mech the whole mission, so you remember you spent all 4 of your quirks.
Yeah. Oh, right. We were doing mostly... Right. We've been out of mech for so long.
That is something we're going to have to address in a second. You do have a breakdown.
Yes.
Which is going to have an effect. So we'll talk about what that looks like in a second. Yeah. So before we dive right into the narrative, there's like a little bit of, follow-up bookkeeping from the end of last mission. So normally we'd start here with the supply roll, which is a roll that happens at the end of a mission that represents the squad, getting... sort of resupplied by their patron faction. For us, that's the Ring usually. But as we stated at the start of this mission, there is not a supply roll for you guys, unless you decide to return some of this illicit cargo that you've recovered from the train heist to Rebus Actual. And so I don't know if we want to address that now. I mean, we do have to kind of dig into what is in that train. So maybe we want to get to that moment and then we can talk about it. But
Well, it's really kind of up to Carta and Des, right? Like, I'm not even there.
Maybe we should zoom in here before we even get into the bookkeeping. Maybe we can zoom in, like, hopping back in, kind of in the aftermath of Rhodes leaving with the dust cutters. Carta, you and Desmond are there, still in Blossom Canyon with the threaded needle, who have arrived on their, these kind of like mobile train platforms to unload this cargo. And we can dig into exactly all of what's in here and what that means later in the session, in terms of like information you're able to ascertain here. But I'll give you like the kind of the quick and dirty of it. So yeah, I think you two are there. Eleanor Fade of the Threaded Needle has arrived, and she is helping you, kind of guide her crew as they are cracking into these cargo cars of these trains. And presumably some of them are also helping you, load your mechs onto the transports that will get them out of here before any, night flyer rescue operation is able to arrive in the area. I think, you have like a limited amount of time, right, before someone was probably alerted during this ruckus. And so, they are breaking these cars open. They are digging through for cargo. They are pulling things out. And there is, I think, inside these trains, actual cargo that's on a manifest, right? I think we talked about this before. Like, there's luxury goods. I think there's like refined orichalcum in here. There is actual stuff of value. And Des, I think you're probably the person who it would be most suited to assist Eleanor and her squad here, because the interior of these cargo cars, these trains, I think are filled with like smuggler panels, right? Like false sides.
Ooh.
Right? So it's the Concordat cargo is not just sitting there loaded. But I imagine, as you are walking through with Eleanor, you are the one who's probably able to point out like, oh yeah, like that wall shouldn't be out this far, right? There's something there.
Yeah.
And I think with your assistance, the Threaded Needle is able to kind of like start unloading this illicit cargo and pulling it out. And I think it's not that surprising what they find for you, right?
Drugs.
Yeah, it's Concordat drugs. No, I think they bring out like the
pure
first
uncut Concordat powder, baby. The Concordat white.
There's the white ceramic of the case that they pull out, right? But it is as they pop open like the first of these like crates. It is, I think, like energy rifles, right? It is, direct energy weapons on an infantry scale. An entire, a case full of them stacked neatly. Another case opened from another smuggler cache. It is the very familiar white ceramic armor of Concordat foot soldiers. Another box full of grenades. A broken down mortar unit. And again and again onward as you go through these 4 cars, you are pulling out weapons, armor, military devices. And I think in one of the last cars, one of the first smuggler caches, is broken open. There's a case that pops open, and larger than you, but it is the like half disassembled hand of a Caesura unit. There is a and I think, as you kind of continue to pull the things out,
there's a whole Caesura unit in there, just in pieces.
Disassembled, yeah.
Some kind of mail at home, piece by piece kind of kit they got going on here. What do you make of all this, Eleanor?
I think she looks at all of it pretty seriously. Looks to you. I think the Eleanor wasn't sure exactly what to expect here. This operation was done kind of on the sly. I think we've talked about. As she's looking at these weapons, the ready to reassemble Caesura.
It's actually still in the like plastic thing the Gundam kits come in. You have to snip the nibs off of it. Yeah. Mass produced on crate.
Big miniature scissors.
Yeah.
You can't paint it any color you want though, so that's good.
It's unpainted. Yeah. It's cheaper.
But yeah, I think she looks at you. They're arming a force, right?
Yeah, but what force? I mean, looking at all this leads me to believe that there's sleeper cells of religious zealots throughout all of Coronatus.
I think she looks at the weapons scattered around you and nods seriously. We're gonna have to tell people about this. This is a lot bigger than I thought. Okay, we'll have to come up with a good story though. I think she looks at you a little skeptically and asks, "How'd you guys hear about this again?"
We received intel.
Oh, sure, yeah.
That makes sense.
We intercepted some intel. I'm sorry, we didn't receive it. We intercepted some intel, is what I meant to say. Sorry.
I think she shrugs a little. You don't want to tell me, that's fine. Let's get this loaded up. We'll bring it back to your place, and we can let people know from there. But this isn't just smuggling. There's something going on here.
Yes. Also, I really want to put that Caesura unit together. I've always wanted one.
And so, I guess jumping off that, Malcolm, kind of coming back around to it, what your supply roll looks like for this mission. You have 4 cargoes. You have 4 cars worth of cargo here, 4 train cars worth of cargo, accounting for both the illicit concordat materials, these weapons, armor, explosives, all of these different like tactical devices, and the pieces for a Caesura. I'm giving you guys a choice here. Each one of these cargo cars, like I said, 4 total, can sort of be, air quotes here, cashed in for one of 2 things. Either each one can represent a squad upgrade box for you guys, basically sort of representing, like you just said, right, utilizing what you found here to improve the fictional circumstances of the squad, right? Re-outfitting your weapons, that kind of thing. Or you can return as many of these as you would like to Rebus Actual. And for each one of these cargo cars that you decide to give it back to Rebus, who has said he'll compensate you for their delivery to him, I will give you 1 dice towards a supply roll.
I say we cash it all in.
That, or Rebus wasn't there unless we have some snitches who showed up, the threaded needle or otherwise.
He said that we could do whatever we wanted with it.
Yeah, well, I mean,
I'm
consider saying, we only have 2 material points, and Tim is in full breakdown.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, it wouldn't be terrible to deliver unto him some and just be like, the way it shook out, things like, we lost a bunch. Whether he figures that out later, that is a lie, that is something we will have to contend with. But to be able to just be like, we didn't leave you out of this equation altogether, because that is a good person, both just like power-wise and, someone we want on our side.
Render unto Caesar that which is Caesar's.
I mean, I will say, just again to like remember where we left off in the fiction. Rebus is not expecting any of these. He will not necessarily, you're not going to offend him if you don't bring any of these to him. But as like Tim said, it would certainly curry favor with the frog if he was to receive, some of these.
And if we give him what's on the manifest, any of those things, like, maybe that would be stuff that could be useful for the general, collective of the ring, that I'm sure that could help with some of the like day-to-day stuff. But if we surrendered that onto him and we're like, here's kind of what's on the list of what we found, it shows like we are maybe giving up a bit more than we normally would, and
so
also it's a gift to him.
I think that's, I mean, I like that. We played safe. We, two for us, two for him, 2 materia.
Or even I'm not even saying 2 for him necessarily. I'm saying the stuff that they had on the manifest that is like not concordat weaponry. We can keep that or do what we will with it. But yep, here's the card. Here's some luxury goods. Here's some, regular firearms, whatever else that a man like Rebus might know what to do with a car full of luxury goods that the ring would have more of an issue, maybe fencing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think if that's how we want it to be in the fictional breakdown, I'm down for that. But I do think it'll still be a breakdown here of like, four of these to spend between supply roll or squad upgrades. And I think if we want to maybe return to like the delivering of this to Rebus, if we're interested in talking to Rebus tonight, we can do that in the fiction in a little bit. But I think right now I just want to decide how many of these you're going to keep for yourselves versus, I want to get the supply roll in now, so we can then do some of this upkeep and maintenance stuff. So out of these 4, how many are staying with the squad? How many are going to Rebus?
And we're only going to be able to use the stuff that Rebus would give us for fixing any of the damage.
So right now, the squad has 2 materiel and has 4 personnel. And materiel are what you need for like fixing your mech and repairing your quirks, which will be important to everyone except Tim's quirks, I believe, are all cleared again now because you broke down.
I can see like two things that we like I'm saying we could split it 2 and 2. And I'm even looking at the recon playlist, and like we could do quality. We could have pilot weapons now, and so we could replace all of our other weapons with this like nice concordant weaponry, and then it could be fine for everything.
Interesting.
I think that's worth it.
Works within the narrative. And then there's also do we have rooks?
We have rovers.
Rovers, that's right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Never mind then.
Oh yeah. You can get elite rooks as a recon.
Or elite skulks, but we could have refit station.
And yeah, we don't have to necessarily spend those squad upgrades right now.
That's true.
Okay. Are we thinking 2 and 2 then?
Sure.
Okay. I thought I was going to have to spend way more to fix mine, so 2 and 2 sounds good to me.
Yeah, I like that. A little something for him, but keeping stuff for yourselves. So that makes sense. Whoever wants to do it, roll 2d6, and we'll see what your supply roll is for this mission, and that'll.
I'll do it.
Yeah.
Since you're kind of overseeing looking through the loot, that makes sense.
6 and a 2.
Oh, that's a 6.
All
That's
right.
6 supply points.
Hell yeah.
Fuck yes.
And because this mission was done with an independent employer instead of your usual the Ring, who are a democracy under the faction rules of Beam Saber, instead of getting +1 materiel and +1 personnel like you normally do, instead you have gotten 2 extra rep for doing this mission, which is the experience track that you guys use to increase the squad's tier. So yeah, you get 6 supply points. But yeah, that's actually, I think, like, for, fictionally, what that like looks like to me is probably Rebus pays you very well for the stuff that you like acquire for him, right? He doesn't like kind of go back on his word in this. We can like, I said, zoom in the fiction what that looks like exactly, but I think this is a well received overture.
I think that I'm not going to bring up the fact that it was also carrying a deadly adversary, and just mark it up to he didn't know.
I guess you probably get increase your trust with Rebus actually.
I was going to say, this doesn't move us out of the negative with him.
This does. I think this probably moves you not even just to neutral, but to like +1 with Rebus actual.
Oh yeah.
That's probably the biggest change here in terms of trust. I think, Rebus, previously his opinion modifier for you guys was volatile. I think now you're volatile, but also reliable. Just maybe a bit of a contradiction of beliefs, but he thinks you can get the job done even if you cause a ruckus when you do it. But other than that, you don't have any major changes with any other factions. I think everyone clears their level 1 harms and damages, just as a natural part of recovering after a mission.
I have a level 2. No, I have no harm.
Yeah. You have
Can we
level 2.
downgrade from level 2 to level 1, right?
No, you do not. No, you clear level 1s. You will have to either recover or fix, depending on if it's harm or damage, any level 2 or above harms. Rhodes, you have the level 2 harm Quicksilver Affliction. When you are sort of stabbed in the mirror realm by your rival Hyacinth with a knife made out of this strange, fundamentally charged mirror material that he utilizes as a weapon. Desmond, you will clear the level 1 harm Overheated, but you still have the level 2 damage to the Mercuria, which is a crushed limb. And the Semaphore, Carta's mech, has the level 2 damage Shredded. I think that was from you getting shot with your own round after it was fired into a mirrored portal.
That's not affected by a breakdown or anything like that?
That is not affected by breakdown. And so, with those cleared, everyone gets a chance for a free upkeep for their mech here. Will not take away from your downtime actions, but it's a chance to reset your quirks. You roll dice equal to the number of materiel that you want to spend, and then refresh quirks equal to the result here. So just going down the line, Pete, do you want to take this upkeep action? Do you want to spend a materiel here?
Fictionally, can I? I'm not near the machine.
I guess a great question. I think you can do this because even if it's not Rhodes doing it.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think, Carta's not letting it rest there. Carta's making sure that it's get loaded up because he's still under the impression that Rhodes is coming back. He has to come back. This is the Red Shift. This is what he pilots. I don't know much about it, but I'm going to try to fix it because he's going to want it back.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I like that a lot.
So even if it's a Pete's role, if it is performed by someone else, I am...
Then, yeah. How many do we have to kind of spread around?
You've got 6 undeclared ones, and then I think you have 2 hard material. So you have 8 ostensibly to play with here.
Okay. Yeah, I'll do it. I'll just roll 2.
You can roll 2, so they'll take 2 supply points.
Got a 2 and a 6.
All right, a 6 is more quirks than you have, so that will refresh all of your quirks here.
It refreshes all and breaks 2 that you didn't know you had.
And then, yeah, Malcolm, same question here. Going down the line, do you want to spend any material on this?
I'll roll 2.
All right.
Is that good?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know.
That's right.
I've only done this like one other time. I
Yeah.
feel like, yeah.
And so you've got 3 quirks expended, so you definitely want to get a decent number here.
Yeah. Maybe I should take 1 extra die. I'll just stick with 2.
Oh!
Whoa. Ooh.
Shit, use your power to call it again.
Yeah, we're rolling hot tonight, boys.
Yeah, that's another 6 right
Can
there.
we get into some kind of combat?
Yeah, could you just throw something at us? Where's that scissor at? Put that thing together.
So yeah, you're going to refresh all of your quirks as well.
Nice.
And then, yeah, Carta, your quirks are already
do I get rid of my damage as well?
No, that does not affect your damage. That's a different roll. That would be a fix.
Okay.
Yeah. This is they're just quirks. So you might still want to be out there with the wrench working on the mech later in this session.
Yeah, I think so.
And then, yeah, Carta, you don't have to refresh your quirks. They all get refreshed because you suffered a breakdown one last time.
Because I'm hardcore.
Yeah, so you have 1 breakdown tick. And so what that means is, you don't have to have this off the top of your head right now unless it comes to you. But basically, getting a breakdown means that you are going to now change one of your quirks by adding a negative modifier to it.
Okay.
Adding a word to one of these that kind of changes it to have a negative aspect, right?
Yeah, I kind of already know what I think I want that to be.
Way too open gun turret.
No, literally, it's going to be just like paired with like the physical camouflage and the way that I had the custom retrofit armor, that it's like now exposed. Like the shot that took pieces of the, like from behind that took pieces of the shoulder off, like there's nothing around it anymore. It is just kind of like,
okay,
it's cracked open, maybe like the door hinge that like you'd come out from the interior of the mech, to get up onto it.
It's just open all the time now?
Yeah, it doesn't lock. Like sometimes it swings open, or it might lock. I don't know. Yeah, it's a faulty gun turret. I think that's kind of the faulty, maybe not the best word, but it's going to revolve around how the gun turret is used. And
you said exposed earlier. I think that's like a good
exposed. Yeah. So can I just edit it as exposed?
Yeah,
instead
exactly.
of open.
Yeah, that'd be perfect. Yeah. You're modifying it, and just like with scars, if you in the fiction kind of leverage this thing so that you suffer because of a quirk, you can now, or struggle because of your quirk. You can gain an experience point at the end of a session, right?
Okay.
So it's worth going forward thinking, how this breakdown, you can kind of leverage it towards
For sure.
experience points. Play up the drama of having the exposed gun turret the next time you're in the mech. And so that kind of covers the bookkeeping, as it were, from the last mission. Drives. That's the one last thing I wanted to do. Down the line, Pete, did you feel like you made progress towards your drive last session?
Yeah, I think so. I thought we marked one in the drive clock, actually, for fighting with Hyacinth last time. Maybe we didn't actually mark it in the drive clock, but
no, I don't think we did. Yeah, I think
filled the belief.
Oh yeah, you also, which I do want to address this session. You've filled your belief clock with Hyacinth, and so at some point in this session, maybe when we kind of zoom in a second, I want to resolve that with you. But yeah, did you do anything to help you uncover the true nature of the redshift last session?
Yeah, I think so, in a big way.
So yeah, fill that mark that clock, which will give you 2 full drive clocks now, which you can spend to change the fictional circumstances of a single person. Something to keep in mind as we go forward in this session.
Anybody I want?
The only limits here are, what makes sense in the fiction,
Yeah.
obviously.
I gotta think about it.
When Desmond spent his 2 drive clocks to kill Brute, opened up the fictional possibility for that to happen. There was still some dice rolling afterwards, but you could use it in pursuit of your drive, but you can also spend your drive clock on things that are not related to your drive, but that represents, putting progress from your quest aside, right? That's kind of what that looks like, right? Desmond, do you think that you worked towards getting your revenge on the Belfry Boys last session?
Yes.
I think so. Yeah, this was a friggin' Night Flyers job, who are the new iteration of the Belfry Boys in a lot of ways. So go ahead. That'll give you one full drive clock after marking that, which is putting you back on the road towards being able to take down another target from your list. And then Carta, I don't know if you worked towards your drive or not last time, but you are actually already sitting on 2 full drive
I'm sitting
clocks.
on 2 full, and I don't think so. No.
But you are at that place where you can spend them to change the life circumstances of a single person. So, we're thinking on as we go into this this downtime session where the pilots kind of get the chance to work on their own pursuits. And yeah, so with that is the end of bookkeeping, which means we can kind of move into downtime proper here. And I don't know, maybe we could just talk a little bit, where does everyone go right after all of this, right? Rhodes, you left with the dust cutters. Carta and Desmond, once I think everything is loaded up with the threaded needle, these trains take the rails south until they hit one of the many, secret entrances into the tunnel network underneath Coronatus to bring the cargo back home to the low tower. But, everyone here has got 3 downtime actions tonight. I know we've talked a little bit about what some folks want to do. I think there's some we're still going to have to kind of figure out, play to find out what happens. But I guess I maybe just want to get a bit of a montage-y kind of check-in moment here, and let's say the hours or the up to the day immediately after the successful heist. There were a lot of emotions right at the end of that mission. I'm kind of what does the camera see from these characters? What's going on?
I think that as we finally get back to the low tower, and at this moment I think Carta he knows he's got to fix up his machine, but he does take special care in trying to make sure that the red shift is at least cared for properly, making sure that it gets off the train, that it will be there. I just at least want to see that on the camera, that this is something that, just to show that it is important to Carta, that this is not something that he's not gone. He's not gone. He's going to come back to this, getting that set in. I don't know if, seems like Des doesn't really care about that. So if that's the case, I think that you also see Carta giving the eye to Des, being like, you're not going to help either. He's gone and you're just not going to do anything about it.
Do anything about what, man? I think he maybe pulls a welder's mask up or something.
I don't know.
Working on the mech.
You think that this means that Rhodes is gone for good? He's just gone. The guy who pulled you out of that fucking mountain before it fell down on top of you. The guy who made sure that when you got stabbed, you didn't die there. I don't know about you, man. I don't forget those moments. He's coming back for this. You know that, right?
Listen, I think he's going to come back, but I don't know who's coming back, if you know what I'm saying. I don't know if any of us are coming back from this, man. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I mean, are you reading the writing on the wall? Is it becoming clear? Black Star's days, they're numbered, man. Troubadour has everything she needs, and Rhodes is a fucking basket case. Think we can continue doing this without him?
Yeah, well, they seem definitely way more numbered when you start counting out loud.
Listen, right now, we need to tie up some loose ends. Okay? I'm not abandoning you. I'm not abandoning this. I'm just saying, let's just get ready. That's all I'm saying. We should just tie everything up while we still have the resources, while we still can, because pretty soon we're going to be on our own.
All right, man. Well, I'm going to go be on my own. So
why don't you get some rest? Let's talk about this in the morning, okay? I need your help with something. I imagine you need my help with a little something of your own, huh?
Yeah. As he backs away. 5.
Yeah.
4. 3.
Clunk, welder's mask back down.
I also want to say for the listener at home, Tim did do a cool blowing out vape smoke before responding, which doesn't come across in the recording, but looked kind of sick, actually, I think.
Actually, he's smoking like a big cigar, and it looks really cool with your fedora. That was cool.
Yeah.
Night of cool stuff.
What about Rhodes? Where like, what's the little like vignette we get of Rhodes
Ayahuasca in the desert.
Yeah, I was about to say he's gone to Sedona. He's doing some
he's definitely near the vortices, that's for sure.
Sound bath therapy with a guy with a didgeridoo.
I mean, I think this is Rhodes is sort of like zeroed in on kind of an existential experience, I think, as he's like walking away. I think in this like montage, after we talked about it, I think last episode Mitch referred to it as like the Spider-Man suit in the trash can, which I did not realize, but it's like 100%, kind of like walking off the other direction, like that comic book cover. I think feeling a bit torn, but his kind of soul thing here is trying to find Abel Selkirk. So I imagine, we kind of like get sort of like a quick cut, right, of like traversing the outer dust deeper and deeper into these kind of badlands. I think deep into Drover territory, probably as we kind of flip forward in the camera, right? Like imagining this being like a dust cutter hover bike sequence, which is cool. Some like long wide shots of crossing the basin, the sand kicking up. I think we get like probably quick cuts, right, of like Rhodes and Cygnus and the crew that we've been running with, kind of like meeting with other drovers at like way stations, right? I'm sure some probably heavy cloaked like mystic with the, I don't know, something cool going on, points us in another direction, which leads us to a watering hole. And I think it's been like several days of travel out into like the deeper desert here. And I think like this whole time, especially like after sundown when the moons rise, I think like the Rhodes is jumpy. And I think that sense of something big right behind him, just out of view, like can't quite shake it. And so I think like throughout this whole time, even on the bike, right, it's like a lot of quick looking over his shoulder, or it's like seeing the something cross over in a doorway out of the corner of your eye. And I think this like takes us to I don't know where Selkirk is, but the drovers do, right? And
no, you do know. You
specifically, we had him in.
You finished that clock with Seldom Rowe, who was able to you were able to pin down the area that he does keep his home in, or the place that he's known for being at. That was you finished that clock a few.
Yeah, that's right.
A downtime or two ago. And so I think that, the drovers also know of him. They're I like this traveling sequence together, but I think that it's a point on the map that you have that is bringing you towards him, which is, I think, to a place like south and west of Coronatus, closer to the bleached plains, the kind of like salt flat desert that leads out into the outer dust. And, as you're heading that direction, like the two notes I want to hit visually, probably, right, in the background of each of these shots, to the east, the beacon towering out of Coronatus, right? To the west, as you get closer to the bleached plain, it's this wall of haze out in the distance. This mega storm, this sandstorm that's been building for weeks now. You encountered, I think we said last submission, like a micro storm, like a little spit off of it as it's been moving in towards the basin. And, it looks like almost apocalyptic, right? Like off on the far horizon, this sort of hazy wall of stand, like steadily advancing eastward. And those, I just want to we see those as you're traveling, right? In a way, you're heading towards that wall. It's so far away still, right? Days, if not weeks, still away from actually reaching the basin, but it's so large that like the storm is still visible now, even still.
Yeah, I like when we were thinking about, or when I was thinking about, rather, like this bleached plain in this place, the thought that comes to mind are those like pink salt lakes, where it's like in the really cracked earth, like mud flats, and there's the like high concentrate like pink salt, like those pools. And I think there's probably some sort of like weird, like sulfurous, wafts kind of emanating from them. And I think somewhere in this is Selkirk's camp. I don't know what the settlement like size is. Is it really just him out here, or is he like in a
Are we ready to just move into that? Is that where we're at?
No, not quite.
I mean, we can. I don't know.
No, that's cool. I need like maybe we should take like a break because if we're going into there, I need like a second to kind of like get my thoughts together. But we can also flip the camera back.
Yeah, well, let's get this image. I think before we can talk about who wants to take the first downtime actions, but I think there reaches a point, right, where you're getting closer, where I think Cygnus Strand approaches Road after a few of these days of riding, takes you off to the side of camp. He shows you it is a dust cutter. Not new, but like newly rebuilt, right? Like scavenged from old parts, repaired with some of the things that were pulled from the train cargo that the dust cutters were permitted to scavenge. But he's gotten one of these hover bikes, these dust cutters, working for you.
Oh, for me? That's
for
cool.
You, right? Yeah. There's I imagine it's like over the back of the seat, right? There's like the sleeping bag roll up, right? Like different supplies like hanging off of like these like panniers on the side. I think what is it? There's a newly mounted pair of like freshly molted triops horns that have just been mounted on the front of like the bars. And I think Cygnus would tell you, as you kind of reach this area where you're starting to transition into the bleached plain, this is as far as we can take you. We've got to get back to the main caravan. Things are getting serious. When you're done talking to your old wizards in the desert, come find us. When we talked in Farron's Bluff, you told us that we couldn't stand on the sidelines anymore. And after what I've seen in the Cosmeo Ridge, what the Concordat is doing up there, I think that you're right, Rhodes.
Well, I'd say the same to you. When it gets hard out here, come and find us.
And so, I think we maybe we like cut off on this montage, right, is this small band of dust cutters that's been traveling with Rhodes, packing up camp and heading back to the main caravan, leaving Rhodes kind of on the edge of the bleached plain in this kind of transitional zone of desert, within the day's ride of where you have been told Selkirk's camp is.
I think we do like the cool clasp, like we'll trade knives or something here. Like that's what we talked about before, right? Like I feel like I have to give him something for the bike, right? It's an exchange. So
you already did. You gave him that knife at the end of the last mission, right? You returned that blade to him. And
that's right. Man, I'm good.
You know what? Here's the final detail, right? As they're driving away, you can see that like the knife is back is on the bike, right, in a holster on the side, right? The knife that you returned to him, he's given back once more. It's on the side of the bike.
I hope these aren't funerary goods.
So do I. They head back east, and we close on Rhodes on this precipice. I think I like this idea of this like vivid pink salt flat landscape stretching out to the west. You're literally on this like transitional zone.
It's almost as if the landscape is also telling a story.
It's like it's a character.
It's like a third character. Yeah.
That's ridiculous. What, like environmental storytelling? You're right.
So yeah, there we stand with everyone, right? We're kind of set up for it. And yeah, you know how this goes. This is downtime. You each have 3 downtime actions that you can take, plus however many more you want to take by spending your resources to give you more. And you can also obviously, do stuff in the fiction that is not one of these downtime actions. But I don't know. Where do we want to jump in? Does anyone have like a thing they want to do first here?
Yeah, after the conversation Carta had with Des, counting down. All right, fine. You stay here. You fix your mech. I need to go blow off some steam. I think Carta, trying to, clear his mind, walks through and is kind of just walking the streets of Coronatus. And, honestly, before he knows it, he is back in Wormtown. And, that he's been there more often, and it just starts to make him think about, the other plans that he has. What if the Black Star's done? What if they're done? There's other things I'm doing. Grenfield's not going to take down itself, whether they're going to help me or not. There are other people out there who will. And I think with a little bit more determination, Carta finds himself in another one of the meeting spots that they have in Wormtown, another bar that is called the Spare Rib, because it's kind of at the end of, or the sides of one of the giant carcasses of these, millipedes, right? Is what you said that it's built under, a sand.
Some kind of a weird sandworm, yeah, for sure.
And he's there, and he, the Spare Rib has a a light and some music coming out of it, which is nice because it was kind of weirdly silent, or it was just the sound of work going back on at the low tower. And Carter walks in and he sees a friend sitting at the end of the bar whose name is Quint. Do we have a last name of Selector already? I don't think so.
Not anyone that we've seen on screen, so it's free to use.
Quint Selector.
And this is someone Carta knows from the coalition opposing Grenfield.
Yeah, someone who previously unknown to Carta and really to anyone he had been introduced with, but who has been seemingly like really amped up and has, stepped up, leading other people in the actions that they're doing, putting up flyers, lending a hand wherever he could, who seems to have a real deep connection to it in a way that maybe a lot of other people don't. I don't know his story yet, but I think Cardiff sees and feels a drive in Quint Selector that he, obviously sees in himself and hasn't seen quite as strong in a lot of the other people who are showing up for these meetings.
Yeah, okay. And I assume, right, like when Quint sees you entering the spare rib, right, it's face lights up with energy, like excited to see Carta, almost a little awestruck here, right? There's an element of like admiration, I think, right? Recognition of Carta as like the architect for this kind of rapidly growing group in Coronatus. And I think he waves you over. He's already, what do you want to drink? What can I get you?
I'm feeling good. You know what? I got this round. Whatever you want.
It's a couple of Vesper lights for the table.
What is Quint Selector? Is he?
Maybe he's Gratch. We haven't really gotten a Gratch. We've talked a lot about Gratch stuff. We only saw one other.
Yeah, why not? Yeah. So he's this a Gratch, which we talked about. I think we've seen people from this species before. They are four-eyed humanoids with this kind of like waxy, bright red skin and like a kind of a long, slender neck.
Sounds great.
And I think actually, he's got like a pair of goggles over like two of his eyes out of the four. I think like one of the pair of eyes is like more sensitive, right? It's like a different evolutionarily speaking, right? Like they see on a different spectrum. They're like more sensitive to like everyday light.
Okay, yeah, I love that. Great, Gratch.
I think Gratch make historically like a commonly like start like spaceship pilots, right? Something with like that whatever spectrum they see makes them a little bit more suited to it.
Oh yeah, sure. They like see ultraviolet. No wonder we haven't seen a lot of them. They only come out at night.
Yeah.
Well, they're saying like a fundamental spectrum. I think is probably.
I like that even more.
So yeah. He's he's got this pair of like almost like welding goggles over I think like the top of these like four eyes. Like I said, this waxy bright red skin. I think he's probably got kind of like a what he's wearing, and maybe this is just imitation, or maybe this is the fashion right now amongst sort of people in this group. But I imagine it is I think you've described Carta as wearing something similar, right? It is like a Commonwealth military field jacket stripped of its insignia.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it's got like a big right. If we're doing it, why not? On one of the arms, right, where like there would have been like a normal patch, it's been replaced with one that has like a cog, right? No words, just the symbol of a cog, right? Coalition against Grenfield.
Yeah.
Against.
It's really the coalition opposing Grenfield.
Yeah.
I don't think against is ever going to leave our vocabulary.
We're against it.
But yeah, no, he's got the cog on his sleeve, right? It's not there's no other words there. There's not any slogans, right? But it's a declaration, right? And I think it's a symbol. Maybe this is like a thing our camera has been seeing as we've been following Carta walk through Wormtown, right? Is like that graffiti is showing up in more places. Mm-hmm. Just the cog symbol, which is a circle, right? Which is a different kind of ring.
Right.
They don't even know. They're supporting the ring.
And I think like just looking at the side of you, I think probably this Quint says like for a guy in a good mood, you look like you've had a rough couple of days.
Yeah, Quint. When you just kind of take hit after hit after hit, and at a certain point you're so tired. Things are spinning around you. That even in a moment, you get a flash And it is a clarity. Maybe it's a clarity born out of certain anger, of frustration, but it clicks. The cogs link, right? Hits him on the back. But I think I needed a few of those whacks to the head to really get some things flowing. I need to move more. We need to move more. We say we're against what Grenfield's doing, but what does that mean? We can wheat paste all day. The voices we've heard at these meetings, talking about the things that they've done to people like me, to you, I mean, more like us. And what, we're going to just have meetings about it? No, I'm done with that. I'm done with it. You know the squad, they've been around Rhodes, and we're going to get them back in, but we need to give them a reason to get back in.
Just then, the front door of the spare rib blows open, and a blustery, deserty wind blows in, and Desmond walks through the front door.
Act cool.
Yeah, right. I think Quint kind of like sits up a little straighter, and he kind of motions his head towards the door. I think he's the one maybe sitting facing the door. He sees it first. Is that him? Is that your friend?
Yeah, Des, my bud. Come on, come take a seat.
He does. He walks up and he climbs up on the nearest stool.
Well, before you were so lucky to join us, me and Quint here were, just talking about what might happen once the Black Star crumbles and there's nothing else to be done.
Quint immediately
Just talking.
Hey, listen, I know you're maybe what I said earlier ruffled your feathers a little bit.
I'm not upset.
And hearing the truth can hurt sometimes. I understand. Even if you think it's not the truth, all right? I don't give a shit about any of that. I'm here. I want to help you. You're my friend at the end of the day. Fuck Black Star. Fuck the ring. Fuck Rhodes. Doing God knows what out in the desert right now. Fuck all that shit. What's important right now? We got some work to do, all right? Do you want to do it? Do you want my help? If not, I'll fuck off. I don't care.
Yeah, Des. I think you're going to be really, really good at this.
A little nod.
So, and whether we don't necessarily need to go into the whole plan.
Yeah,
now,
exactly.
But
yeah.
it's
you're right. So this is building to a downtime action. I'm thinking.
Right. Yeah, and I think that this is the Carta again a little bit like loose. It's fucking. That is what it is going to be. I'm focusing on something different. Talks about this plan that he has been mulling over. That if I'm going to make Grenfield, pay, we got to do something that makes them notice. So that when the time has come, we can strike at the center and take out the person who has left us broken, without family members, without loved ones, whatever it is, and take out the person who signed off on it all. We're going to bring them to us. And in doing so, I think this is setting up the action of setting out a plan, the COG initiative of planning actions throughout Coronatus that are going to slowly agitate Grenfield so that he hasn't said this to them yet, but that in Carta's mind is going to bring Wager Felspar is a different thing, sorry. Felbar to have to contend with it, as that is his station in Grenfield.
Yeah, worth revisiting here because it's been a while since I think we uncovered this information, right? But Carta, in the course of investigating Grenfield and the Nexus Initiative, their kind of secret project on Ember, you came up with the four names of the people who are kind of most responsible for Grenfield's kind of aggressive secret programs, the things that led to the death of your parents, this kind of investigation of the Orichalcum Lattice. And those names were Felicity Wintrove, who was and is the head researcher of the Nexus Initiative, kind of the lead scientist of Grenfield. Stead Field Price, who was the surveyor, or is the surveyor who kind of monitors and reports, the progress of this thing, and is the person specifically for Carta who monitored and reported the Heshketh family's findings that kind of led to their assassination by Grenfield. There is Meyer Grenfield himself, the sort of chief executive officer of Grenfield on Ember, the kind of heir to the Grenfield fortune. And then there is Wager Felbar, who you just mentioned, who is Meyer's right-hand man, the kind of chief of security of Grenfield on Ember, and kind of the fixer the Nexus Initiative, and who I think is probably, you know, in talking with more people over these last few months, you know, of assembling this coalition. Wager is the fixer, and he's often the common link here, right? He is as much like a manipulator as he is a trigger man, right? I think, you know, there's more than one story you've got of him arriving and then leaving bodies behind, right?
And I think that is the reason Carta, again, as of recent as he's thought about this more, that is the focus. You're going to be the man who pulls the trigger? Well, that's the person who made it happen. These organizations are big, and we're going to, you know, chop at the base of that tree to hope to bring it down. But, you know, if there's one person that he can focus on at least getting what he feels is retribution, it is going to be Wager.
And so this sounds like a long-term project,
yes.
Right? Kind of getting his attention by like escalating actions, you were saying?
Yeah, whether that's riots, small-scale demolition of projects that they're working on, theft of gear from other work sites, you know, lots of those types of smaller actions that elevate over time might make them go, send in our guy, you know?
Yeah.
We have someone who deals with this. It's Meyer Grenfield's right-hand man who will have to come in and drop the hammer.
I like that. I think this is a 4-segment clock. And what skill do you want to use to work on this project? Like, what is the skill that represents kind of your opening, you know, kind of orchestration of this, right? The start of this thing. Yeah, I think there's a lot of different options here on this sheet. I'm pretty open to a lot of them. So.
I guess I would say, like, I only have one pip in it, but maybe like a struggle. You employ lethal or less than lethal force. You might restrain a panicking civilian. You might exchange gunfire across rooftops. You could identify a fighting style, but study might be better. You know, that it's like, as it levels up, it might turn into something like a wreck. But right now we are doing like the smaller actions that are fighting and struggling against the works that they have set up across the city.
Yeah, I mean, I think if it's struggle, then like that's characterized as like, in my mind, like right, it's violence, right? It is like attacks.
Oh, it is violence. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, just make sure that's like the
right, but less than lethal, meaning that like it might also mean like, as we ramp it up, it starts with stealing stuff from there, like all their equipment is stolen. Then there's a bomb that goes off and destroys a building that they're working off. There's conflict in the street. There is.
But so it is like immediately coming out of the gate, right? We are hitting it with like, this is, I mean, it makes sense. If you're trying to get their attention, you are doing something big and flashy.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think that is 1 dice to start to work on this project. And then I think you'll get a 2nd dice if Desmond is helping you with this.
Des?
And I helped.
I mean, you know, like what can we get like a visual here, right? Like, you know, like what is like the quick flash of scenes that we see that shows these you and Des and Quint and, you know, this like a motley group of cogs.
You know, it could start with something like late at night, someone hops a fence or cuts through some fencing and fills all of the, you know, mechs or gear that they're working on with a bunch of sugar to make it not run.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Then all of a sudden, you know, the timber framing of a new, you know, what do we say, a storefront and 5-story above it. Mm-hmm. The timber framing on that catches fire, and it is burning throughout the night. And then the next night, 2 of them are on fire. Then maybe one day at a work site, they are trying to demolish some kind of old building to take out another part of Wormtown. Their explosive been fucked with, and it blows back on them. And there are workers who are injured, killed. We're starting to see more of this. A fight that they see in the street that normally they would kind of just like bat away with some batons, like, is getting bigger, and they can't just bat it away. They have to retreat and start thinking about what is going on, you know, and things like that are just ramping.
Say that is 2d6 to start. You could also always spend a personnel to increase the number of dice, or you could spend it after the fact to increase the result.
I might just do it after the fact. All right, rolling 2d6 then. 5 and a 6.
Dude,
damn,
nice.
Buy a lotto card.
Damn, dog. So that fills 3 segments on this clock. to start with.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you wanted to spend a personnel here, you could finish this project in the one blow if you want.
Yeah. Also, for the story, I was going to say, or in completing the clock, it sets up the scene where there's a bit more interaction with Wager, but that might be further down the line anyway. Yeah, let's spend a personnel and let's just knock it out so that when we want or it is time that we can maybe go face to face with.
Yeah, and so I think spending that personnel here to do so, I think fictionally looks like you use struggle here, which, like we said, is violence, right? I feel bad doing this to someone who just was born into fictional existence, right?
Ooh.
Oh, no.
But
That's
You guys
Right?
liking Quint?
yeah. New
Quint
risky
school?
standard favorite character Quint.
Go ahead and text 1 to keep Quint alive. Text 2 to
Tune into Risky Standard next time.
Right, but you said he was kind of like a leader already, right? This kind of like force that people were rallying around.
yeah.
He catches a bullet during like one of these where it's escalated, right? Where you are like, I think it's breaking into like a Grenfield office, right? Like, it is like you said, an escalation, right? It is ransacking computers and it is destroying.
We cut to, Dez is like picking the lock or whatever, and opening up doors for you with his expertise.
He goes in, Quint's in there with a gun, clear, and then just someone behind him that he. Boy.
Oh shit! You know what? Why not? You want Wager here, right? Like that's it.
Oh, fucker.
Of course, right? Yeah, duh. It is, yeah, these actions have been escalating, Time is always loosey-goosey in a downtime session, right? So this is over the course of, like, days and weeks, right? Time passing. This thing doesn't happen, like, right away. And, yeah, there's a planned op to break into, like, a Grenfield office that is, like, a higher security tier than COG has been kind of messing with before. But, over these weeks, over these actions, you've also been kind of, training up a squad of these people who, are kind of making the transition from like activist to revolutionary, right? They've gone from, like you said, protesting and wheat pasting to, they are helping you destroy like material objects. They are breaking into this office. They are taking out armed security guards to do so. You've got this like kind of cell within COG that is, I think, helping Carta with these kind of like more direct action operations. And yeah, it is in this office. Things have been going so well, and then they go so wrong, right? It is, dark, it is late, and then, as you are in the middle of your work without warning, the lights kick in, right? You hear the sound of, like, heavy armored footsteps coming from, like, nearby hallways. It was a sting.
Oh, no.
Right, yeah, like this one was planned, was left unsecured to try and draw this group in, right? You got this through a piece of like intel from another member of COG, and now no one can quite remember who said this was the job. Who gave this info to who.
God damn it!
And he's a giant when you see him striding down the hallway. He is wearing, I think he's like wearing a suit. I've been watching a lot of wrestling lately. And you get these guys sometimes who are just enormous, but then wearing these very tight suits, and they just kind of look gargantuan and a little bit cartoonish. And I think that's a little bit what Wager Felbar looks like. Wager is an Aurelian. He is a species we have not seen before on screen, I think. They are, I don't want to huge lore dump here, but I think the fundamentals of the Aurelians, they are a humanoid species, larger than your average human, right? I think like Wager is
it's a race of wrestlers, is what you're saying.
Yeah, well they are I think in the historical position were a culture of like nomadic, like space, warriors, I guess is like not quite the right word. I think that they were like one of the Commonwealth's first biggest victories in its kind of interstellar expansion was the breaking of the Aurelian Empire, this kind of like pirate fleet of nomadic like warriors who were had a tight rein on a number of systems, but who lived on their own like world ships, traveling from system to system, right? I definitely think a little bit about like Genghis Khan, like the like Mongolian steppe cultures, these kind of like traveling nomadic warrior bands.
The Comanche, yeah.
Yeah, and the Aurelians were that. They were primarily like space-based, like traveling race of like nomadic warriors who were broken and subjugated by the Commonwealth, right?
How big is he compared to Butte?
I think like maybe even a little bigger than Butte was.
Mm-hmm.
Are we talking like Andre the Giant?
Yeah. Like I said, like probably like 7'5", 7'8", maybe.
Damn.
Like hulking in this hallway in this suit that is, like I think straining against his musculature. I think just like an armored vest kind of on over the suit, moving with like a practiced elegance in combat with, I think, some kind of assault weapon. And he's like at the front of this pack of, the rest of it behind him are the typical like Commonwealth, like Grenfield soldiers in body armor. But he is here leading the strike. And, for all its success, I think there's like a little bit of a disaster here, right? That's the spending of personnel.
Mm-hmm.
You've gotten his attention. I think, it is a cluster to get out. I don't think the conflict is here, right?
No, no.
Because I think that you are caught unawares here. But I think in the crossfire, right, spending a personnel to me is Quint catching a stray round as you are fleeing through like the exit that Desmond has found. And it is, his death that I imagine maybe is the thing that ends up probably radicalizing more people in COG, right?
Mm-hmm.
His martyrdom.
The next meeting, there are more people there ready who are angry and like eager for retribution. And the other thing here is that Wager Felbar is in Coronatus now. He's in the city. He's aware of what you're doing. He's not happy about it. And we get, probably, in this one moment, you've seen him in, like files. You've seen grainy holographic images of him. But there's a moment here in this like dimly lit like office that you get to see Carta. This is like the face of the person who killed your parents, right?
Mm-hmm.
Almost certainly the man who pulled the trigger himself.
That's him.
Okay.
What are you gonna do?
I think in this moment
You've got your drive clock full, right?
this is not the moment where I do this.
Right. Maybe the thing that stops you from activating it there, right? We get that moment of frozen time. Get Quint beside you, raising a pistol, right? Like, like bringing his sights on Wager. He doesn't have that connection that you do. He doesn't recognize immediately who this is, and it is, he's not even like fully got the gun up when the shot rings out. When Wager catches him in the chest with a round. And maybe that's the thing that stops Carta, right? Is like Quint getting injured there, right? Dragging him out bleeding.
I think that just solidifies there are too many people here to be lost to this right now. And if I'm going to do this, I'm going to get him alone. I want it to be me that he has to face down. Because I'm not going to let him just move through all these other people. And there might be more planning that comes to another one. And we're not going to be taking, sources from people we don't already know we can trust. And we're going to find that moment. And it will be me in a room or me in a hallway. He might have a gun, but I know I will have drawn first. And he's going to know. It's not this moment, but that moment is coming quick. And he made sure of that by taking out Quint.
Ripped our friend Quint Selector. He had a short but powerful life.
Yeah.
We hardly knew you.
His action figure will be selling crazy now, so that will be...
Yeah, limited edition.
Wouldn't it be sick if Kenner actually did put out a Risky Standard toy line? That'd be great. You used to be able to do that. We could just have like an ad in the back of Toy Fair.
Hey, listen, if there are any executives at any large toy companies listening,
even mid-sized toy companies,
listen to the demand you're going to get. We're going to want a large one, but hit us up. We're very interested in talking about licensing deals. Yeah, so maybe, as we kind of end with this scene of, in the meeting hall of like the sixth moon, in my head, the image in my mind is like Carta with, Quint's bloody jacket, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like kind of leading this like this speech amongst like these kind of emboldened members of COG, right? In the aftermath of this, thinking about what...
It's a really good speech that you guys you're gonna have to think about.
Like pulling out from there, probably an image of the beacon set against the moons in the sky, and then cutting back to the image of the desert, right?
I keep getting that like Dune trailer sound in my head whenever we talk. We're like, anyway,
Except this is not Dune.
not Dune.
not
This
Dune.
is very different.
This is,
not Dune, not Star
legally-
Wars. Write that down.
Yeah, legally distinct. So yeah, you're heading there now, Rhodes. Is this it, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. There's at this point nothing really out here except for me and this structure.
So yeah, I think you've got this map that leads you that you've been given, like you know where to go at this point, right? You haven't been here before, but you've got a map. And I think you're able to take the bike to a certain point, right? But I think that you start to reach Selkirk's home is not out on the flats, right? I think it is, like I said, in this border region. And I imagine that it is actually, amongst, some small hills and crags. It's kind of like, it's not just like like an open standing structure, right? You kind of have to head into these like little like foothills, kind of like a spur of Cosmeo that is coming down from this way. You're actually not that far off from Farron's Bluff geographically, I think. Kind of the region of the basin that you're in at this point. And so I think you as you approach this region, these hills, you also start to see immense reefs of this basin coral, right? This like the surface coral that we've talked about. And I think you start to discern there is like a little bit of a path here that kind of winds between the coral and these hills to kind of bring you into like this little like nestled valley in amongst these hills where Selkirk has made his home. And as you're making your way in deeper, I think you, Rhodes, start to notice there's always dust moss like in the region, in the area, right? But as you make your way in through these little hills on the edge of the bleach plain, it gets more and more densely saturated with this iridescent lichen. I think you're reminded pretty immediately of where you just were, right? Blossom Path, whose walls were covered as well. This doesn't have the like symbiotic flowering vines that had. It's just like this moss and lichen. It's growing at the base of the coral. It's covering the walls of these hillsides and these little canyons as you kind of wind in towards Selkirk's headquarters. And I think as you get closer, and I don't know if it comes upon you all at once or if it's like kind of a gradual and then you realize it, but there's a moment I think where Rhodes suddenly feels as if his field of view has started to expand. Like he's seeing more of what's around him than he normally does. And there's a rustle of wind through a patch of this desert kelp atop one of these nearby hills, right? And the sound of it, you hear it as if you were right next to it, right?
Am I tripping out on the fumes, or what's going on here?
Yeah, I think you start to feel a almost like a little bit of a euphoria, right? This kind of like in your stomach, this rising feeling of like kind of joy and terror intermingled.
Not this again.
It's not hard to, it's hard not to like feel like a flashback to what you were just going through, right? I think maybe there's that phantom of the presence of immensity behind you, right? And the sky above now shimmers with the same iridescence of the dust moss. And there's a pang in your chest, a throb where the quicksilver is, and you can feel Hyacinth. I think for a brief moment, you see as if you were where he is. It is a bare stone chamber. He is kneeling in front of a long trough, a reflecting pool filled with the quicksilver liquid, bowed in prayer. And for a moment, he raises his head as if in recognition. And then you're there. And the path has narrowed down to a point where it is a footpath now. It's kind of nestled between the hills. It's going to be difficult to take the bike any further. And as you follow this path further down, right, it starts to descend, like I said, into this little valley nestled amongst the hills here. And I think you come around a bend, and now the dust moss is thick. It's a carpet that you're walking on. It covers the walls. You've never seen this much of it anywhere. And as you kind of, I think, come around a curve in the bend, enter this little valley. There at the bottom of it, kind of cradled there, I think there is a small earthen structure, a little building, like a mounded, domed building, made out of hard packed clay, fired. But its walls, its ceiling, and are covered in the dust moss. And you hear a trill grazing off to the side. There are a few, young triops who are just kind of grazing on the dust moss, milling about.
I'll be damned. This is like a save point.
And there is, a dark, I think even like doorless entrance into this earthen built structure. And I think you see someone step out from there.
Before I move any closer, I think if I kind of pull my vest thing out, or I don't know if I can see it on my actual chest right now, but is the Quicksilver reacting, or I know I can feel it, but is it actually doing anything?
I think it's just kind of kind of shimmering and vaguely kind of, almost like pulsing in time with the heartbeat that you don't have, right? But it is beating, right? There's this kind of, maybe, and it comes into the score here too, right? Maybe this is like this kind of steady, insistent pulse. And you know what I think, as in time with this pulse, right? Desmond saw this earlier. Now it's Rhodes' turn, right? With each pulse of the Quicksilver, the dust moss seems to breathe in and then breathe out, right?
Weird.
Right, it's this gentle undulation as it seems to almost be breathing in time with the movement of the Quicksilver on your chest. From the entrance to this earthen mound, a man steps out. He is wearing simple, rough cloth, gray robes. He has a messy shock of white hair and a scraggly beard. He's an old man, lined with age. And, as Rhodes comes around the bend, kind of looking down into the valley, he looks up to Rhodes, he smiles, and he raises a hand in greeting.
I think Rhodes draws, pistol from the hip, I think, sighting him, right? I don't know what that hand's about. I know he's a thaumaturge.
A voice rings out across the valley. A laugh first. And then, Rhodes Rampart, you came all this way to see me. I don't think you're going to kill me now. Come down. The tea's almost ready.